Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Saturday interview series that I'm doing. And this week we're interviewing Mon Comics. And it's MON Comics, which is middle of nowhere, because he lives in the middle of nowhere, and he's basically showing how to collect comics when you live in the middle of nowhere. And I've met Mon Comics a couple of times actually now. Once on a live stream and once in a previous attempt to do this interview. We tried to do this before, and one of his children got food poisoning. I'm not blaming this interview for it, but it is what happened. So we had to redo this. This is a take 2. I hope that we can have a really great interview to balance out that previous attempt. It's a bit messed up, but yeah, it's really great to have you in this take 2 of doing this interview.
It's really great to be here. I took all precautions today that nothing will interrupt this interview whatsoever, and I've locked this door so no one's coming in.
Okay, good. Yeah, seal it shut, all that kind of stuff.
It's done.
Okay, cool. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with these questions, but there might be a bit of deja vu here. How did you get into collecting comics?
Grew up in the 90s. Superheroes were big. 89 Batman. Me and my friends, watched that movie, and we were, started collecting, Spider-Man and Batman and like the hollow covers, and really fell in love with like the Jim Lee X-Men of that time. And that's what really got me into the comics in the 90s with friends, just going, there's still like little tobacco shops, that had comics on comic racks. And
did they have the spinner racks? Or
they did.
Oh wow.
I wish I knew where those were now, because as well as I do how hard they are to find and get conditioned. So just going into any kind of grocery store, penny candy store, and seeing those books and then the stories just drew me in. So that's where I started.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you collect seriously back then, or did you more see it as like something that just cool hobby, like not a hobby, but even just like for reading, or was it more of a collecting thing?
So it was collecting just for fun, because you hear about comics would be worth money maybe in 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Away. But for me and my friends, it was just collecting to read the stories. Also, we would take comics and cut out panels and put them on our walls.
Oh, really? So you're the one that's responsible for all those green label books that we see.
I mean, if someone's grading a Spectacular Spider-Man 200th issue from the 90s, then maybe, yeah. I just loved the Green Goblin. I would put them on my wall as posters, because they weren't selling posters at the time, So for the stories, I really didn't take it seriously back then. It wasn't until later in life that I rediscovered my love for them and saw, what ones could be valuable assets later on down the line.
So it was mainly Spider-Man and Batman that you were interested in. That was your focus.
I loved Spider-Man. I liked Daredevil. I liked Wolverine, Hulk. I mean, I liked all the Marvel characters. I celebrated them all. Batman really resonated with me, probably because I was a Predator fan, and I remember getting Predator versus Batman.
The Predator versus Batman. That is such a weird crossover.
It totally was, but it was a great story. I even remember it now, 30 years later, of like the Predators beating up on Batman so bad, and what does Batman do? He just makes a new suit. That's like what he does when he has to beat someone.
He's an innovator, right? He'll just okay, how do I beat this enemy? Well, I'll just add this cool thing to it, right? Yeah.
Actually, what rekindled my whole love of comics was I went to college at a small, I'm in upstate New York, and people will tell you they're in upstate and they mean Westchester, like north of the city. I'm 4 hours north of Westchester. And I went to school at a state school 4 hours north from where it was like right next to the border of Canada. And I took a class called Comic Books as Literature. And the professor was amazing. So on our list of books for the class was Batman's The Killing Joke. Which showed me how dark comics could be.
Really dark.
Really dark. It was eye-opener. It was like really rekindled my love for it. I was like, wow, this is not kid stuff. No. Hellboy, Seed of Destruction, and that was before the movies even came out. So I fell in love with this character that was kind of a smart-ass fighting supernatural characters from myths and legends all around the world. We read Concrete, and then also V for Vendetta. And that was before the movie. And it was just wonderful. I was like, oh my, and the guy, I obviously aced the class because, if you're into the material.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what really rekindled my love for comics, was seeing how serious they could be years later.
Yeah, yeah. That's really cool. I mean, that's an interesting class. Great choices to pick too. Like, I mean, that's just like, yeah, awesomeness. So how did you get into the Predator? Like that part of it?
So my dad, when I was, Predator came out in '87.
Hmm.
When I was like 10, it was the 4th of July, which is fitting because it just passed. And
Hmm.
in our park, they would have like all these vendors come, and they were selling the wax packs.
Okay.
And inside was a Predator sticker. And I asked my dad, who was this? And he's like, you've never
Hmm.
seen the Predator? And I'm like, no. And I
Hmm.
grew up as a hunter in upstate New York, so he thought that
Oh,
would
okay.
resonate. And it did. My dad showed me a lot of those cheesy '80s movies, and that's the one he liked the most.
Hmm.
He'd call me up on a Sunday, and we'd go watch it together. We went to see all the new ones in the theater, and unfortunately, he passed away 2 years ago from COVID.
Oh, oh well.
So that has really, like when I want to connect with him again,
Hmm.
I'll
You
watch those
watch
movies
Predator.
or read a
That's
comic.
cool.
So yeah.
So yeah, I always like that movie. I just the scene where he's like in the mud and like he's just like the Predator's just like it looks like he's done. He's not gonna he's there's no way he can survive this, and the Predator just walks by. Like just kind of ignores him because he can't see him. That just
It's yeah,
is
it's
really
amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't see the Predator. You don't see the antagonist in that film for the last 20 minutes, right? Like
Hmm.
the suspense doesn't happen like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a real buildup. And you see the thing that I really liked about the Predator, and that you don't see ever anymore. That this is like really old school way of showing things. The guys in it were ultra macho. Were super macho. Like just like full on. Like we're big. We're tough. We're taking names. We're like we're badasses. That's how it was. And you just don't see that anymore. And it was a really great movie. I just really
I
love
mean, my dad, remember that scene when they're pulling a tree down and they've
it.
all got their
Oh yeah,
shirts
the
off?
traps that they're setting up and
Yeah, my dad called that the "Who's More Jacked" scene, and it really showed like who they
yeah.
compiled for this. Jesse the Body Ventura and
Hmm.
Carl Weathers and Arnold and Sonny
Yeah,
Landham. And actually, 2 U.S. governors came out of that movie. Arnold,
I know.
Arnold
That's
and
true.
Ventura, and
Ventura,
Sonny
yeah.
Landham ran for governor of Arkansas, but he didn't win it. So
Yeah.
almost 3 U.S. governors out of that movie.
Well, and the thing I think part of it is like where it all kind of originated from is that whole bodybuilder, that beefcake kind of these kind of buff guys that are just like manly men.
Yes, but they wanted to show you too that wasn't what was going to beat the Predator.
Yeah,
We're gonna
that's
bring together the most powerful people, brute strength wise, but that's not what it's going to take.
well. But the thing is, what you want to see, and you want to see this in both the good guy and the bad guy, is you want to see that the good guy is not like a total wimp and just like wins by luck. He is like really awesome in his own way, and you want to see that the bad guy is just that one level higher.
Yes.
And that even though you think you're awesome, you think you're great, you have to rise to a new level that just is like maybe beyond you. And I think that's really cool. Like, whereas if you look at the Prey movie, which was actually a good movie, I actually liked the Prey movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's not necessarily the best hunter. She's not necessarily she's a bit wimpy. You can't, in a weird way, take it seriously because they never show that this is a challenge for the Predator.
Right.
That why would the Predator go after some wimpy people that just can't really defend themselves? The Predator wants that's what I loved about the Predator. He was looking for the best of the best to go up against. He was like challenging our best against his best, him. It just that appeals to me. I really loved it.
I think that's a really great analogy. You'll have to watch my video Friday where I interviewed a person that is a big fan and a cosplayer of Predator, and we talked for an hour and we broke down a lot of the exact stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, just movies that they don't make anymore. It's a great movie. I one of my favorite movies of all time, actually.
You're winning my heart, Alan, with that.
Yeah.
It's
The Running
classic.
Man is another one I really like. I was a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I watch all these The Running Man was another really great one. I feel like it's so relevant to today. with all these
Yes.
deep fake stuff. You know.
Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, Running Man, anything Arnold 8. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff. I don't know if you could have those movies these days because trailers show so much of a movie,
Oh
and they
yeah.
drop like 2 or 3 trailers and people don't even want to watch them because they feel like they're watching the whole
Well, I've
movie.
already seen it.
Yeah. So back in the 80s, there was one trailer and that was it. And you
Yeah.
had so that's what I liked about it.
And it's
God,
usually really vague, right? You
yes.
don't really know what it's going to be about. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like whenever I go to movies nowadays, it's like the trailers. Like I feel like, oh, I've watched 3 movies now because I've seen the trailers.
It's tough. Some of my best friends want to they'll try to avoid a trailer online too, between all the
Yeah.
social media outlets. It's very hard. So
Well, and the thing is, usually trailers nowadays is like you get like 2 or 3 different trailers, right?
right.
And each are giving like a different part of the movie away. So if you just watch all 3 trailers or whatever it is, you end up knowing pretty much everything that's going to happen in the movie.
Yeah, there's not much surprises, and that was one of the big things of going to the movies when you're a kid. Is just the shock and awe.
Yeah,
we should be writing movies again, Alan.
I know. I miss it. Yeah,
just one trailer.
yeah. But yeah. So like, did you ever collect? So you collected obviously the Predator books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get like the first appearance and all those things?
Yeah, I wasn't until I remember seeing the Concrete Jungle, the first appearance on the shelves when I was a kid. I remember seeing that image,
Yeah,
yeah. It wasn't until a couple years ago. Well, last year when I got back into it, I was like, I got to get his first appearance.
Yeah, I always associate, even though that's his first appearance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always associate that not with the first movie, but with the second movie.
Very iconic. It looks like this was set in the city.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they were gearing up because first Predator came out in 87, and then this book came out in 89, and then the second Predator came out in 90.
So maybe they were kind of setting up the movie a bit?
Yeah, maybe they were just trying to show you, give you a little bit. So I didn't have this as a kid. I remember seeing it on the shelves. I didn't get it at the time. Because again, I was collecting a lot more Marvel, but once I saw someone was selling this, I was like, I've got to get this in my collection. So
yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah. I've read it online. It's a great story. And I love, even the old books that we collect show like advertisements of the times, but and this one even has the a commercial for The Abyss on it, which was another great 80s movie,
I love The Abyss. That's another great movie.
James Cameron, right? I mean, The Abyss was it's one of my mom's favorite movies. That was another movie that you didn't see coming. The end was just, mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's like, wow,
yeah, I collect whatever I can of the old comics, and then if I see new Predator, like modern comics, I'll definitely pick them up since Marvel got when Disney bought the license in 2019. Dark Horse was the only one that published them for 30 years, and then Disney got them in 2019. And then you have like the Del Auto variants coming out and stuff. So I try to collect them whenever I can and pick them up.
Yeah. So you don't mind buying the modern takes of it?
Not at all, because it's, like I said, it's just so near and dear to my heart. Any cool. kind of, I'll celebrate any artist that's drawing just amazing artwork of the Predator, and stories too.
So I see the Predator mask in the background. Now, do you ever do the cosplay thing yourself, or?
I wish I could. So that was bought from an artist. That's just a wall hanger, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. It looks like a mask. It looks like a full mask that you could put on.
It does. It's really good. The guy's out of Canada, and I met him through Instagram, and he had put that up, and he was selling them, and he does them all to order, and they were taken from the original mold of the movie from someone else.
Oh, really?
So there was like some connection to the original movie with it. And I wish I could do the cosplay. I'm in some cosplay Facebook groups, Alan, and a suit. I mean, if you want a legit suit, it's going to cost you like $3,000 to $5,000 depending on what,
Wow. I didn't realize it was that expensive. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
crazy.
Latex fitted to your size and everything. And you got to be going to a lot of cons to make it worth that, right? Doing photo shoots.
Yeah.
I just don't have that kind of time or money. My friend, again, on Friday, the interview with my friend that cosplays, he does a mix of making them himself and buying stuff online and shows you how you can, how you could do it. But But right now, yeah, I would love to, Alan, to answer your question, but for right now, the wall hangers.
No, it's very cool. That's why I was saying it looked like a mask. So I was like, oh, maybe does he use this, or it looks really cool.
Yeah, I love it. My daughter actually likes it too. She gets a kick out of it. She's 3, but she's fearless. So
yeah, wow, that I think as a kid I'd be like a bit scared of it. To tell you the truth, I'd be like,
my
I
kids are
don't
cut
want
from
to
a
go into
different
daddy's
cloth.
room.
Yeah, no, my kid is just pretty in awe of the comics, and you know, she's learned, like, she can look at this shirt and she's starting to name Red Skull, Black Panther, Captain America, and I'm like, all right, I'm doing something right.
I feel like that shirt actually appeals to the geek in me, like that inner like science nerd. You know, like I see the periodic table and it's like Amazing Spider-Man, and you know, it's like, oh, that's like, you know, hydrogen on the table and stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at the table trying to figure out who was who, and yeah, it was very nerdy. I liked it.
It'd be cool if it was more representative of the element, you know, but yeah, but it's still really cool. I think it's like, you know,
I feel like they have enough characters they could do that if they
yeah,
wanted
they
to.
could. I really think they could.
You know? Or even if they mashed up like all comics from the ages, you know, extra characters from every different, you know, I'm sure you could fill it out.
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, how many thousands of characters are there? There's like, you know, crazy number of characters.
I learn new stuff every day. Before you came on, I was just staring at your wall. At like books I've recognized, books I'd never seen, and I was just like, that's just beautiful.
I gotta change up my wall. I think next week I'm just gonna redo everything. I'm just gonna put a whole new wall. Like,
that's part of the fun though, right?
Yeah. I actually like the way it works. It's like just tape that's holding them in place. It's really? Like the lamest way, yeah. But they sort of stay on their own, but the tape is just that extra level of security.
It looks so clean.
It's it's, you know, I just use like, you know, Scotch tape. That's it. They're just
us collectors will find a way, man. And,
exactly. I was like trying to create some cool system like with magnets and all this stuff, and I was like, tape.
It'll get to you. Well, space is the enemy, right? Any way you can display the highest number of comics, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So
how many can you display on your back wall and stuff, like in your room?
So I have like these shelves I got at Walmart, and I 2 of them together and 3 rows, so 6 in all, and I can fit like 8 slabs on them.
Okay.
And then down here, I just got like the plastic J-channel slotting.
Yeah, that's what I did at one time. Yeah.
Yeah, I could do about 10 raw books on a side, but I'm still gonna fill out this wall, and you know, it never ends.
Yeah, you want to get as much like eye candy, right? Yeah.
Right. You don't want it sitting in your long boxes, you know? Like,
yeah, I know.
Your long box, it just needs to be on the wall. This is too nice. This is beautiful.
Yeah. I always feel like that. I'm like, oh, I really love this book. I'd like to see it more often. It's like hidden in some long box and you never see it. But yeah, so how about you show some books? You know, we're talking about displaying books, but we didn't show any books. Let's see some books.
So, I mean, that makes sense. I'm currently decided. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan.
Okay.
Huge Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's probably my favorite artist. And what they did with the Fantastic Four to get Marvel out of the slump from the 50s was just huge. And in our pseudo interview before, we talked about just how many keys are involved in that, you know, because of it starting a lot of it, you know, Galactus, Silver Surfer, the Inhumans. I mean, there's just Agatha Harkness. There's so many, but so I've got 38 issues of the Fantastic Four.
Wow.
I'm going for 1 through 102. So the ones that Kirby and Stan Lee did. So
well, 1 through 104.
What's that?
You're saying what number? Fantastic Four 1 to 104.
1 to 102.
102. Wow, that's a impressive collection if you can get it.
I've come to terms that I'm probably going to have to get a Golden Records reprint for the first Fantastic Four, and that's fine. Like,
as I said, like, get restoration books.
Yeah, you know, I would totally, like, I'm not a snob like that. If I have to get it restored, if I was in the spot to buy a restored FF1 at the price I could.
That's what I did.
Is that what you,
yeah.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I have a FF1, but it's restored. I have 1 through 20.
You have 1 through 20? That's amazing. That's where I'm really scared. So most of these range from the earliest being 24, and then I'm up to, I think, 95. So I've just been filling in. So I've got these here, and then about 6 more graded on my wall that I just either are keys or I love the cover. So Fantastic Four 67. And then like all the Black Panther appearances, so 52, 53, and 54. I just picked up Fantastic Four 49 in a 2.0.
Not bad.
Which I found really interesting because I started doing research about the Fantastic Four. And so Kirby was with DC before, right? And he did a series called The Challengers of the Unknown, which was 4 guys. They had no superpowers. They just were relied on their skills and martial arts skills, their wits. And they didn't go up against, crappy villains. They went out against interplanetary, interdimensional beings and stuff. So this was Challengers of the Unknown 53.
Okay.
And this is actually...
Looks like Fantastic Four.
You nailed it, man. So this came out in October 1966. Fantastic Four 49 came out in April of 66.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a cover swipe level.
A cover swipe. People are like, oh, it's homage. I'm like, no, I think they just swiped the cover. I mean, look at the way the Fantastic Four...
It's just different direction.
Yeah, different direction, but they use the green, the big looming villain over the top,
the hands, everything.
Yeah. So when I saw this, I was like, I love comic history. I
gotta find that now.
Isn't that sweet? Dude, $5 on eBay.
Okay, so it's Challengers of the Unknown, what issue?
53.
53. Okay, I gotta write that down. Okay, I'm writing that down right now because I'm going to pick that up.
Dude, Alan, $5 for a Silver Age book? Are you kidding me?
I know, that's insane.
I know, especially for one that has such a connection to FF. And
now, is that something that's recognized as being a bit of a ripoff? Or
a very obscure I had to search on websites to find it, and there's arguments that they ripped off the Galactus cover because Kirby was then at Marvel, having success with the Fantastic Four, and Challengers of the Unknown was really never that successul. There's speculation that it was just a homage cover, but I mean, like, it came out so close after, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a ripoff.
Yeah. And like, I love collecting keys, and I love history. So
yeah, that's beautiful.
After having the 49 and seeing this, and this is beat up. Sure, it's like a 2.5 copy, but for $5, like,
yeah, I mean,
I find Silver Age from any publisher, I'm buying it at $5.
$5 is like, cool I mean, that's a cup of coffee, like less than a cup of coffee, actually.
Yeah. So this was my favorite pickup as of recently. And I'm going to make a video. This will be an upcoming mail video. So Challenge the Unknown 53 was great.
Really awesome.
Another one, yeah, you got to get that, dude. It's so funny how cheap it is. I mean, you can get very nice copies for more money, but I was like, I just need to own a copy. That's the great thing about shopping low grade too. If you're not, I am the quintessential low grade is better than no grade. Like, as long as it's together and stuff, like, that's my budget. But the best Fantastic Four pickup I had lately that I was really excited about, it's not my lowest number or anything, but it's FF28.
Oh, okay,
and it's the first X-Men Fantastic Four meeting. So this was in pretty good condition. I got this from a Facebook sale. No, sorry. I got it from a guy I traded with on Facebook. So, like, my shtick is how I get comics into the middle of nowhere. And I've met some really great people on Facebook and groups. And I traded with one gentleman who knew I love Fantastic Four. And then, like, a month later, out of the blue, he's like, you need a Fantastic Four 28? And I was like, yeah, I do. And we've been pretty good friends. We've done a few trades now. And so he looks out for what I need, and I look out for what he needs. So I just love that cover. That is just Kirby making him, come off the cover. And the original X-Men team.
I always was trying to figure out what that creature is, though, to tell you the truth. I never could understand the head of that creature.
It was the awesome android, I believe, created by the Mad Thinker and the Puppet Master.
It just looks weird to me. I always thought it looked weird.
It really does. It's not a great. I love Cyclops. Just looks so old school in that picture. It's just that little laser beam coming out.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Anytime I can get a Fantastic Four with another team on it.
It's cool to have the crossover. Yeah.
Yeah, X-Men wasn't, huge at this point, so was happy to add that. And I'm the collector that collects what they like, Alan, so anything that sparks nostalgia. So in my childhood, there was a show called The Inhumanoids, which followed. It was not a very long-lived show. It was basically put out by Hasbro to sell action figures, but it was about a team of scientists called the Earth Corps, and they end up fighting these big creatures from under the earth. And there was a cartoon made out of in the 80s. I remember watching it on Saturday mornings. So I saw this in a Facebook claim sale, and I bought it just because of the nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a 3-part series, so it won't be hard to get the other 2. This wasn't expensive, but it's in really nice shape. I love monsters, big monster collector. So any kind of monsters in my childhood can come back together. I'll get it. Man-Thing is my favorite character. I love Ted. I think what Marvel did with the Werewolf by Night, that 1-hour special,
was really great. Yeah,
I think it was some of the better stuff they've come up with, and was 1 hour, and it introduced you to Werewolf by Night. It showed you Man-Thing, showed you Elsa Bloodstone. Ulysses Bloodstone was dead, but I mean, they can revisit it. And the black and white, and then at the end they put it into color with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, kind of like I just thought it was beautiful. So that really was.
I always felt that one of the things that happens nowadays is they don't really constrain their writers. You know what or the ones that are making the movies. They say, oh, if it's an hour or 2 hours, just go with whatever time you want. However, I find when you actually constrain them and say, okay, it has to be this long, you can't make it any longer, then what happens is they want to get all those ideas in, but they still have to have it make sense. So what happens is they make it flow faster. They make it, much more, everything is much more purpose driven. And it's a better thing than when they let them just run it as long as they want. So I think that's one of the reasons why it worked, because it was much more condensed.
I couldn't agree more, Alan. There's so many movies now that you see that are 2.5 hours long, and you can immediately think of like 30 to 40 minutes that were unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more that they were able to put in an hour. And I wonder, I feel they're just testing the waters. I think we talked about that last time. I would love to see a Legion of Monsters.
Yeah, I would too. I'd love to see that too.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the guy who directed that special do it.
Yeah, me too. I was just going to say, do it as a film noir. Just, keep it in that classic style. I'd be totally down for it.
I'd be in. It would, the noir style of that was fantastic. And there was like little jokes too, like when Werewolf by Night, when Jack Russell showed up, and they're like, the one guy's like, did you kill any of these creatures? And he points to Dracula in the bat form, and he's like, well, I fought him once,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's good. There's, they can never make comic movies exactly like they can for the books, because they have to appeal to the whole audience,
Yeah.
I think that's where some fanboys get mad about it, but I'm happy we get anything,
Yeah, me too.
Just give it to me.
I'm still in the mentality of way back when it was like you might get a superhero movie once every 5 years.
Yep.
Something like that. It was like really rare to get and I feel like we're spoiled now, where we get too many, and we're more critical, and we don't really appreciate what we get. And, I think we're a little bit spoiled now. But I love having, I still come from that feeling of, oh, I wish this character was done. I wish this character was done. I'd love more content to come out, but.
For sure. I mean, and the ones we got every 5 years was no guarantee they were going to be good.
Yeah. Often they were terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I could think right out. I mean, from the Batman '89 was wonderful. Blade, which came out in the '90s, was amazing.
Blade. Yeah, I was a big Blade fan.
There was very few that you're like, oh my God, that was comic bait. I mean, there were some terrible ones, but in the vein of Man-Thing, I just picked up. This is a really low grade copy of Hulk vs. Man-Thing, but anytime Man-Thing shows up in a comic, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna read it.
See, I wasn't a big fan of Man-Thing. I was more of a Swamp Thing guy.
I loved Swamp Thing too growing up, even though the 80s movies were crazy cheesy. I still did love Swamp Thing. There's a soft spot in my heart for Swamp Thing, but with Man-Thing, I just liked his, the human characteristics were almost all gone, as far as the face. And his implications with the Nexus of Reality as a guardian of Nexus Reality, and what he could anyone who had fear in them, if he touched them, he could burn. His powers just appealed to me more.
Yeah.
But Swamp Thing was still cool. Don't get me wrong. And some of the cartoon stuff they've done with like Justice League Dark on HBO, he's amazing. And I would love.
I haven't watched Justice League Dark, except for the movies. I've watched a couple of the movies that they had.
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to? Was there a series as well, or?
No, I think we're talking about the same thing. I think we're talking about the movie.
Okay. I've seen those. They were good with John Constantine and
Etrigan, the Demon. Yeah, DC does cartoons really well.
I know if they could just do the same for their movies, they'd be set. I mean, those cartoons are amazing, like really great.
Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah, one of the best movies.
That blew my mind when I saw it. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I wish they could. I wish they could. Maybe they will at some point. A couple more recent online pickups, and I'll just show you my favorite book in my collection, if that's okay. But I used to own Secret Wars #1 when I was collecting back in like 2011, before I sold my comics to buy an engagement ring.
Yes.
So I had this.
Actually, quickly, we didn't do that story this time, so let's do that. Tell that story quickly.
So my collection in 2011, 12 was like pretty good. I had an Avengers #1, CGC 1.6. I had First Blade, so Tomb of Dracula 10. I had this whole series. I had Secret Wars, including the one with Black Costume Spider-Man. I had a really pretty nice collection. And Amazing Spider-Man #5. First appearance of the Lizard. I mean, I had quite a good Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man collection, but I was in the restaurant business. I wanted to propose to my wife, and so I took comics and sold them. I mean, they're liquid assets. I was like, I can always buy them back someday. Like they're out there, but you don't think of like what that's going to be in 15 years.
Well, yeah, the prices changed a lot in that time period.
They really have. I mean, there's one comic YouTuber, I can't remember his name. Maybe it's just Comic Book Investments, but he shows the the changes over from
that's David that does that.
Yes. So it's very interesting to see where those books, from 5, 10 to 20 years, the percentage, some of them go up, and just that they become some of them become unattainable.
Well, the way you got to look at it is some of these books will have like usually maybe a 10% return, like rate of increase, but like inflation might have been around 4%. So what's happening is our money is going like this. It's gradually, but then the books are going like this. A different angle to the rate of increase. So the rule of, do you know the rule of 72?
No, please teach me.
This is the one cool investment thing I learned in life. The rule of 72 is you take the number 72 and then you take the interest rate. So if the interest rate is 10%, or the increase in value is 10%, every 7.2 years, it will double in value.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool?
You just blew my mind.
So any number, you just take whatever, like if it's 7%, well, in 10 years, it'll double in price. Whatever, you just divide it into 72.
That's brilliant.
So it's fun. It's a rule. It's a really great rule. I love using that rule. It's for calculating compound interest.
I just wrote it down.
Rule of 72. So like at 10%, well, in 7 years, and it's been like 15 years probably, right?
Right.
That means that it's doubled twice.
And that's why I don't have any of them back yet.
That's why you don't have them. That's why a lot of us don't have those books anymore, because they've really gone out of our price range.
Yeah, the Avengers one I got sub $900, if that tells you anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not a cheap book anymore.
It is what it is. I love the one you're with. I love the comics I have.
Yeah. If she's ever mean to you, just remind her.
That ring can get me a lot of comics back. So that is what happened to the original collection.
Yeah. But you're gradually replacing it. And
yes.
Yeah. So
and getting better books. And
getting books. That's
books I care more about. Less spec like I was back then. which I was doing pretty well. Those books would have returned well, but less spec and more of what I love. Black Panther, I'm a huge fan of his, so getting his first appearance
yeah. I
was
see that in the background. What is that, a 3.0?
2.5.
2.5, okay.
2.5 with writing on the cover. People are like, does that bother you? I'm like, no, I own his first appearance.
I know, it's like so cool.
It's character. And then I just picked this one up because I hadn't owned this, the first #1 from 1988. It's like a 4-part series.
Oh, nice.
But this cover by Dennis Cowan and Sam De La Rosa of Venom fame just does it for me.
I remember seeing that on the newsstand way back in the day. I remember that book.
Love. So I just picked this up. I'll pick up the other 4 issue. Again, this is like less than $5 books. I mean, like $5 for a piece of art for me from a favorite character and a story I get to read is worth the price of admission alone.
You know, Black Panther 1 was the first slab book that I bought.
Really?
Yep. I was super excited to get it. I was a big Black Panther fan until the movies came out. Then I was less.
Did you like the first one?
So-so. I'd give it a so-so. I give it a 6 out of 10.
All right. Fair enough. I enjoyed the first one. Second one, not so much.
It's kind of bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, they did so well with Iron Man in 2008, and it's like... Yeah,
it's hard to live up to those levels, right? We're always judging them based on Infinity War, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a way to tell this whole story. That was great. My favorite book in my collection, and probably my most rare, is... So this is the Man-Thing #1 from his first solo series, and it is a CGC 9.4 signed by Frank Bruner.
Oh, wow.
Was the cover artist. He's done some awesome Doctor Strange cover art too. He's done a lot of fantasy art. He doesn't sign much. This was done back in 2019. So there's 7 others graded at this grade on the census, and then only 11 higher than this. But you can't tell how many. It doesn't tell you, right? It doesn't tell you how many are signed by Frank Bruner, how many are Stan Lee, you know. So
it doesn't distinguish them? Like, it just says signed copies. So
it does. It just says signed copies. There's no way to tell. So, but you never ever see a Frank Bruner. They just stay in collections. They don't go to market.
I think a lot of the time, like, Stan Lee signed a lot of stuff, even stuff that he wasn't even related to.
Right.
He signed, you know, and I think getting his like the Frank Bruner in a way is probably way rarer.
Right. I mean, we all know that they were really pushing Stan to pump out a lot of autographs in those last couple of years. You know, Frank Bruner wasn't. So I have searched different auction sites, eBay. I can't find any with a Bruner CGC signature. Some will be signed, but not authenticated. And I'm about to send this one in actually to CGC. Roy Thomas is signing.
Oh, wow. And get a double signature?
Yeah, he is a co-creator of Man-Thing. So I'm going to have him sign it right down here. And I think that's all I can get. I'm not sure anyone else I'll be able to get, but Roy Thomas is huge too. I mean, co-creator of Wolverine.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just been huge in the Marvel mythos, but this cover just, besides loving the Man-Thing, this cover is just...
It is a classic cover. I mean, it's got that whole almost pre-code horror, like not pre-code horror, but horror.
That's what it feels like. Yes, there's some monster coming out. So this is this is the jewel of my collection. I love it. It's just my favorite book. There's just something about, and I love art. You know, the covers are what drew me to comics as a kid. I think it does a lot. You know, that's what they're meant to do, right? Is draw you in and read the story.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's just one of my favorite covers ever, and I just really love Man-Thing. I love his story. I'm working on that. I'm working on the Adventures into Fear 10 through 19, where it was his first appearances outside of Savage Tales, and then I'm working on his first solo run, which I'm just kind of taking my time because it's not hard to find these books. They're not expensive, you know. Have
you ever heard of the character The Heap?
Yes, which was the inspiration supposedly for Swamp Thing and
Man-Thing. Yeah.
Yes.
I only learned about that maybe like a year ago. I was like, one of my viewers said, "Oh, do you know The Heap?" And I'm like, "No." It's like, but you learn these things, and it's like, oh, that's such a cool character. It's like,
I looked at some of his books too, and guess what? They're pricey because people
yeah,
start learning this.
yeah,
And if you're a fan of either of those two characters, you obviously want the inspiration,
yeah, of course,
So,
yeah.
but the learning and the hunt is a lot of the fun, I mean, like that Challenge of the Unknown 53. I had no idea that existed. I just happened
That
to
is
find it.
definitely a very cool book.
Right, and
I love those kind of not like really cover swipes, like kind of steal, almost like they're stealing from the other one. I mean, Challenges of the Unknown is Fantastic Four, and Doom Patrol is X-Men. Really,
right.
At the time, I heard the story that Stan Lee and the guy from DC were kind of good friends, and they would talk over comics. They'd talk about comics, and Stan Lee would be like, writing
it down inside his shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't doubt it. I wonder how many ideas each of those people took from each other.
Oh yeah.
And then they see him published, and they're like, he was listening to me.
That jerk.
Yeah.
But that cover is that's insane. It'd be nice to find I actually would almost like to have it. If I were you, I'd have it like two slabs next to each other with those. Like that'd be just like beautiful looking, I think.
I was watching a graded one, and it still wasn't that bad. It was like sub 200 for it. So I might still do that, Alan. It's funny you say that because I thought they would look really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little set, right?
Right. Like... And again, it's not like it's breaking the bank or anything, Not like you're, I was talking to you last time about Golden Age. I mean, it's just like you want to go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Just sort of graze it, and you'll be fine. It's just like, just pick a few things from it. Like, there's some really cheap books in the Golden Age that are cool, that are really cool. I love Golden Age. You can pick up stuff under $100 all the time.
Right.
And
not the ones
cool
I wanted. All the pre-code horror I wanted, what happens to be the most expensive stuff.
Yeah. I'm bidding on a few pre-code horror right now that I'm hoping I'll win. But
yeah, there's just so many. I mean, it was just, you could see how a parent back then would be concerned.
Oh yeah.
Decapitated body parts and
yeah. I mean, the thing is though, I think they should have not stopped it in a way. And what would have happened is you just say, well, this is not meant for kids. Sorry. And I think people would still bought them,
Right. Would have wound up in hands anyways. But yeah. I mean, there's definitely, I mean, you think they would have pushed with how much they were selling too, to figure out a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way that they figured out was the comic code.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But it really killed the beauty of the comics. Those early books between the Golden Age and Silver, bit questionable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was a big horror fan growing up as a kid, so any of that stuff,
You actually told me a story, and I kind of want to have this in this interview as well, where you were talking about the fact that you did buy a pre-code horror, and a cool pre-code horror, but you used it to get something else.
So, yep, I the person who actually sold me the Man Thing, he's a big whatnot seller, but he's like not a whatnot pumper. He's just like got really good books, but he doesn't hype them up. He's not like, oh, like come, like he's just a guy that's like, I'm going to start these all $1. You decide, they're great books, and I reached out to him on Instagram and I said, what can you get me for pre-code horror? And he had a stack of like 15, and Crime Suspense Stories #9 stood out with the classic Johnny Craig cover and bio on the inside, and the skeleton on it. I knew I wanted a skeleton, something that defined
classic elements.
Classic elements, yes. So I got it from him, and I sent it to. I use the same presser and cleaner as Lunch Money Comics. That's where I learned about him. Their comic spa. So the guy who's been he was in the paper business for 15 years. Before he became a cleaner for 8 years. So this guy knows the chemicals, and he doesn't use chemicals to clean, but he knows about the makeup of paper.
Yep.
And so he did a really great job, and it graded it at 5.5.
Wow, that's really high grade for
Golden Age horror. Yeah. But I then started like looking at the next books to get, and it was like, man, for this book, I could work on my Fantastic Four run. You know, I could pick up 3 or 4 of my Fantastic Four run books. And it's like, do I want to go down this rabbit hole yet? And I was like, I'll just put it out there in a Facebook group. So I put out the crime suspense stories, and I said, I'm looking for a Fantastic Four 49 and a 2.0 to 2.5 to trade. And a gentleman from Canada reached out, and he was willing to do it. And, you know, the big 3 are 48, 49, and 50 as far as like the middle, like really where Kirby and Lee hit their stride.
Yeah, I think 49 is the best of the group. Like, you know, that's the one you picked up, right? 49?
Right.
So, I mean, 48, I heard some rumor that there was a warehouse find of them. So that's why they're actually more common than the 49s.
I didn't know that. I did not hear that.
Yeah. So that's why you'll see a lot more high grade copies of the 48s.
That makes sense.
Yeah. 49 is definitely a bigger book. It has both of them on the cover. It, you know, it's the first Galactus, you know, it's a bigger book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer. I've always liked him. Me and one of my friends growing up, we always thought the Silver Surfer was a cool character. So, you know, having that meant a lot to me. And I saw a chance to scratch off a huge key that I needed for this run, you know, with money I already had invested. And I've been like, you know, there was no comparable sales for a 5.5 for the crime suspense stories. I could just see what a 6.0 was selling for. And next to the 49, it was like within $50 of each other. So it wasn't it wasn't a huge, you know, difference. And I was willing to, I will have another pre-code horror book someday. Now, and then you learn more, right? You learn better covers, more covers that you really would like to save up for and have more. So there's some covers out there that I'd like to have more, and I'll save up and maybe just one example, not go down the rabbit hole like you said, but like say this is an example.
Get a couple like that representative of whatever it is. Yeah.
EC pre-code horror, you know, this is part of history, and just dip my toes in at some point. But it was cool to see this guy flipping through like 15 pre-code horror books, you know.
That's cool. And you just picked the one that you like the most? Is that?
Yeah, I said, okay, what, you know, these 3 books interest me. What are the grades and prices? And he's very, very fair. You know, he's not trying to make a killing on these, you know. He's dealt with comics for 30 years. A really great guy, but he's become the guy that, like we talked about last time, you get to know enough people in this hobby, you can reach out to certain people and you can have access to a lot of books. You may not have the money
as long as you have the money. That's the only danger though. That's like you run out of the money pretty quick.
Right, but it is fun to know that like you've got to connect. That like if you really, you know, like if you have the money,
they can hook you up. It's like
exactly.
Was it with you that I was talking about it? Sort of like these comic dealers are kind of like drug dealers, and
I think we were talking about that last time. Yeah, I mean, I'll never have money for drugs. I can never be a drug addict. That's for sure.
Well, I think comics are drug of choice.
They are. You know.
So, what big book are you chasing after now?
I would have to say Fantastic 448, trying to figure out how I can get, you know, that one.
So you want to get that 3, the 48, 49, and 50.
If I can get that, I feel like that's if I can get that set, I feel that's, like I said, I feel like that's when Kirby and Lee really hit their stride on them. And there's such, I mean, you know, you got the first appearance of Silver Surfer, cameo Galactus, first full Galactus and Silver Surfer, and then, you know, the Silver Surfer on the cover for 50. Plus, you know, we all know how many Fantastic Four movies have failed in the past, like all of them. Yeah. But, you know, they're coming out with another one.
Well, people love the characters. It's just they don't love the movies.
And whether or not that movie's going to be good, you know, the books are going to inflate because the movie's coming out. So I feel like I need to get on. And I don't even like the 48. The cover isn't even as interesting to me as the 49. Yeah. But it's a key that I need to have for that run. So I'm like, I need to get that now or within the next 6 months to a year before they start dropping trailers. Yeah. So that's
in a weird way, you've bought some time for yourself because there is the writer's strike. And I think that's delaying things. Like they're already adding a year to pretty much everything.
So many things are getting pushed back. Blade, Fantastic Four got pushed back too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest book. Again, I'm a father of 2 kids with a mortgage, and like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I either resell some books I found that I'm not like in love with. I have some other collectibles that I've just had sitting around that I'm not like. I'd rather put towards everything for the collection for the comics to make me happy, and these are for my kids too someday.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they want to cash in on them or whatever, like keep it all in one. If I keep, if I have like,
Yeah, keep it in the family. Keep it in the family. Yeah.
yeah. And if I have like 4 different genres of collectibles, my kids will be like, geez, now we have to find a seller for that, a buyer for this. Now we have to find, with comics, they could find one person and say, this is what we have, so.
Well, my big thing is like, I'm just going to say Heritage Auctions or one of the big auction sites. Boom, here you go.
Yeah.
So,
and I want them to say your father had good taste. Like he knew what to,
Yeah. That's my dream. Like, did you see that video where the wife, the ex-wife and son gets this guy's collection?
Selling Superman?
Yeah.
The Fantastic Collection? Yes.
Yeah. And they didn't like him in life, but afterwards they really appreciated how much he.
So I actually talked to Darren, the guy, that's the son. I reached out. I've had a Facebook contact that was talking about it, that was involved with it. And I said, hey, can I talk about this on my YouTube channel? And I did a little bit. And since then, he's been interviewed by people much bigger than me, obviously. But
he actually reached out to me. He wanted me to air his trailer and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just never did.
So he's getting a lot of flack because these people, people are like, oh, well, I guess, they didn't like him in life, but look how, happy he's making them now. And it's like, I think you're going to see when this film comes out of how much pain this really caused the family. I mean, they weren't allowed to touch, they weren't even allowed to look at the books. It really tore them apart. And I think now they're realizing like what kind of foresight he had to put that collection, And it's funny, you were talking about the Fantastic 448. There's a clip on his Instagram. If you look up, I think it's under Fantastic Comics. That's the collection. He's the guy sitting there, and his producer's coming out. He's like, Brian, how much are Fantastic 448 in good condition? He's like, I don't know, 5,000. And he starts to count. And I think he's like gets up to 11 or 12.
Wow.
And they are really nice copies. And that's just one book. I mean, he had the 7.0 Superman, number 1, Batman. Yeah. I mean, so I think that people are going to put their foot in their mouths when they see how much pain this really caused the family. They're only seeing the selling of it now, which it's their books. They can do what they want. I actually bought some. They had a live sale on Instagram a month ago, and they're doing another one this weekend, actually, right from those shipping containers. So I bought some books from that collection just because I wanted a piece of history.
Yeah, in a way, it is a piece of history.
And like this came from a collection that was, and it tells a story, and they weren't trying to, they were taking offers, and they weren't putting stupid, crazy, ridiculous prices on it.
So what books did you pick up?
I picked up
Superman 1, Action 1.
So I'm divorced. Yeah. I picked up the most notable one I could think of off the top of my head. It was X-Men number 4 from the Jim Lee era. Okay. Not the Silver Age, but
the second series.
First appearance of Omega Red.
Yeah.
Because I loved Omega Red as a villain.
Yeah, it's a cool one, the hand, yeah.
Yeah, like you just see his hand with his tentacles. It's very suspenseful, and it has Wolverine and Gambit and Jubilee. I got it for like $20, and it's like a near mint cop. Like it would grade at probably a 9.4 or 9.6. Like it's a beautiful book for $20 out of this collection. So I was just happy.
And when they sent it to you, did they give like a little bit of the provenance, like a little label or something, or?
They didn't. That's my one. If I had to have one nitpick, is they didn't send you, this is from the Fantastic Collection.
That would have been nice.
But I did reach out to Darren and I said, hey, can I have a certification for just one of these books? Because they have a custom label through CGC. And I would just like one of these certs to, show that this book was from, and he said that he's going to try in the future to find out how they can do this better, because CGC is not really keen on them giving out, because people are starting to switch the certs with books they have.
Yeah. You could switch it out and put some crappy book in. And
Right, exactly. So, I get that. After the fact, I get that. A little print on a piece of paper, like, hey, thank you for shopping for the fantastic collection, that I could keep, would be cool.
It's weird. I bought like several books from heritage auctions that were from the Promise collection, but
Yes.
they weren't graded. They were raw books.
So it's a pedigree book, but not graded.
Yeah, but it came with a little insert, like, that's but I'm not sure if CGC would honor it. I mean, it'd be a really hard one to,
Because if you think about it, like for the sale I just talked about that I bought from, like, if they really wanted to make a good cert, it would include like photo images of the book,
yeah,
or like a QR
something
code
to prove that it is this book. Yeah.
And that's so much work when you're talking 300,000 comics.
Yeah, and for books that are like a $20 book, would you really care? Like, would you really care?
Right, exactly. I think I got a Tales of Suspense from them too, which is a cool Silver Age Iron Man, Captain America, Kirby cover. So that resonated with me. But I mean, they were selling a lot of. I mean, it was a good way for them to move books. They wanted to sell the collection, and they're doing it cons. And something else that I really liked is that on their Instagram, they have what's called a scholarship program. So nice. What they're doing is, the first book was Avengers #4, Golden Record reprint, graded at like a 9 something, maybe 9.0. Okay. But they were giving it away. And all you had to do was write in and tell them why that comic was special to you.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted to know why it was special to you, what it would mean for your collection. And besides the comic, they offered a consultation with the expert they hired for their collection to go through and stuff. So a FaceTime call with them. So they don't have to be doing this stuff. They could be selling, these. So to have like a scholarship program, and they're going to be doing more. They're going to be giving more big books away. And some a girl won it from Texas. Maybe she was thrilled. It was like, see, like,
yeah, that's awesome.
They're giving back to the community too. They're not.
Okay, so that's good. I mean, that's, that shows that it's not like these almost gold digger kind of level people. It's people that are really actually embracing what they have.
Yes, yeah, they're going to be doing more of those, and I thought that was great. I wrote in, of course, like,
Silver Age. Of course, yeah.
First Silver Age, right? Captain America. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
Golden Records reprint. It was still graded over a 9. So. There's a lot of people out there giving them flack. I say wait till the movie comes out and then make a judgment,
Yeah. I mean, I have nothing against them. I just felt bad for the guy. And I wasn't upset with them particularly. I was more felt bad for the guy that he was misunderstood. Because you can kind of relate to that as a comic collector,
sure.
Right?
For sure. I totally get, but I also understood too from the point of like, it took over their house. Like,
yeah, I mean, he kind of alienated himself from his family, right?
If I did that, my wife would leave me in 2 seconds. She, this is what I get, and I used to have so we had 2 girls. Before the girls, one room was my collection room, and then we had our first girl, and then I moved down to the other room. Then we had the second girl, and my wife's like, well, you can share the office with me. That's, and I was like, so her workspace is across from me because she's a photographer. So she does all her editing, but it's kind of cool because it's another way. Like, I'm in here doing editing for videos, and
you're together. Yeah,
we're bonding. Yeah, I'm like, hey, can you help me with this, honey? Like, I'm not sure how I should do this, or does this look good? And then she'll ask me to look at her photo. I'm very proud of her. She's built her business from the ground up, and so we're in here together. And it's like, she might not. She loves Marvel. She loves the movies. She loves me telling her about comics, but she doesn't know much about them.
Yeah. So quickly, we should wrap it up. Where can people find you? How can people reach out to you and subscribe to you and stuff like that?
So I'm on YouTube. Obviously, is Mon Comics. I'm on Instagram as the same at Mon Comics, and people can definitely reach out. Like, I've had people reach out to me that I've become friends with on Instagram, and just talk with regularly about pickups. They've sent me books. And they're like, I don't want anything, just I want to. I know you love Man Thing, but then I get the return address, and I'm able to send them stuff back, and I'll look through their pages and see what they're into, and then send them a surprise.
Oh, that's cool.
The most important video I have coming up this Friday is, like I said, I interviewed a local friend and cosplayer. He's the Galvarino Predator, and Galvarino actually was very interesting. He took it from a Chilean warrior who is said to be possibly the inspiration for Wolverine and the Predator.
Oh, interesting.
So he's fighting the conquistadors, went out into battle, and they cut his hands off and sent him home as like a terror tactic. And they're like, this should quell the natives enough, you know? Well, the guy strapped knives onto his arms and went back out fighting. And like
that's very Wolverine-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, it took out like the number 2 in charge. So it was a very interesting story. And my friend and I are doing a giveaway because of our love for Predator. We're giving away. He donated a Predator #1 CGC 8.5, and I donated the second appearance of Predator in comics at a 9.0.
That's a huge giveaway.
Yeah, we just thought we both love Predator, and we thought it would be fun to do a really nice giveaway. But also included in the giveaway, it's not just about that. After my dad passed away in 2021, a month later, my mom suffered a stroke. And she suffered seizure since. So I basically, in a way, lost both my parents within a month and a half. So it's been a fight these past 2 years to help my mom recover. So in addition to the giveaway, when you enter a hashtag that we're going to release on Friday, my friend Anthony is going to donate 50 cents and I'm going to donate 50 cents. So every hashtag comment will donate $1 to the American Stroke Association.
That's awesome.
I don't even care if you don't want to win the books. Like I had some other content creators say, hey, I don't want to win the books. I said, well, then tell me who you want me to pass them on to. Like I'll go to the next person, but I want to blow this up. We're doing it for 2 weeks. I want to see how many comments we can get because as creators, we have.
And what's the hashtag that they got to use?
It's going to be if it bleeds. So like, remember?
If it bleeds. Yeah. Arnold very Predator-like.
Yes. So hashtag if it bleeds. And there's a couple other requirements to get you into the giveaway. But if you just write the hashtag if it bleeds, we're going to honor that for the donation.
I might use that hashtag in this video. Do I get entry?
Entry for sure. You're in. Absolutely. And $1 donation.
I'll use it for this video just to show people which hashtag to use, and it'll be fun.
That's actually helpful. Yeah, because I want to see how much we can raise as content creators. I'm less than 500 subs. You're over 2,000, I think.
Almost 3. Just
almost
under 3.
Yeah. Whether we're big or small, we have this unique chance and platform to do some good, to be real life heroes as good as we can. So, when he first reached out and said he wanted to do a collab and then a giveaway, and I was like, we got to do a charity effort. Like we have to do something meaningful to show the good of the comic community. So that's coming up Friday at 5 p.m. So awesome.
This will air this Saturday. Okay. So hopefully people can take part.
I would love for anyone to come over and just let's raise some money, and I want to give some books away.
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks again. And we'll have to. I always say this when I enjoy the interview. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Alan, you're an amazing person. I've loved watching your videos. When we had that chat, the 4-way with Big B, you, me, and Mike the other night, that was some of the most fun I've had in the middle of nowhere, sitting in my room. And so fun. You guys are so easy to talk to. I love your content. You're a great ambassador to this community. So thank you for having me on, and thank you for bending.
Where do I send the check? Where is that?
So it's No, but all honesty, man, you know what? This is what makes the community great. And thanks for giving me time is precious. And I had to take care of the kiddo, but thanks for working with me on this.
Oh, no problem at all. I really do appreciate. I actually appreciate you doing this interview. Very, very short notice. It was very good.
We got to do it.
Okay, bye for now. Everyone, go check his channel out, or that way. Check his channel out. Okay.
Thank you, Alan. Have a great night.
Okay, bye.